Joseph has accused his brothers of being spies. They protest their innocence, but in the process, they give away information Joseph wanted. They tell Joseph that Jacob is alive, and so is Benjamin. They also admit that in effect, they believe they had murdered Joseph. They say they are 10 brothers with a living father, a brother who isn't with them, and a brother who is no more. They assumed that when they sold Joseph into slavery, that he must have died. Slavery was a hard, short life. Joseph continues to call them spies, then makes a harsh demand. He will hold them hostage, and they will not be released until their youngest brother presents himself. Then he puts them in jail for 3 days to let them think it over. They put him in prison for 13 years. And 3 days is not really asking too much. On the 3rd day, Joseph offers them a new proposal. He will send 9 of them home and only hold 1 of them hostage. But they are obliged to bring back to Egypt their youngest brother, Benjamin. Joseph makes an interesting comment. He tells them, "I fear God." Joseph is revealing to the brothers that as powerful as he is under the power of one greater. Men who fear God have a restraint on their actions. One of the great tragedies of the modern world is that so many rulers feel they have no restraint on their power. But Joseph assured the brothers that he believed in God and was under God's authority. After agreeing to the new arrangement, the brothers turned to each other to conduct a private conversation in their own language, not realizing that Joseph understands every single word they say. They get into an argument about whose fault all this is. They believe they are being paid back for their treachery with Joseph. Reuben congratulates himself for advocating a different course of action 20 years previous. But he pursued that course unsuccessfully and went along with the deceit of Jacob like the others. This is just a cheap instance of "I told you so," at a time when it can do no good. Reuben had his chance to forestall catastrophe, and he didn't take it. Reuben showed no courage when it could have really mattered. Our world is full of people who have courage after the fact, but not when it counts. It is obvious that what they had done to Joseph had haunted them for 20 years. They brought him up immediately in trying to explain their misfortune. They know that what they did was dreadfully wrong and that they deserve punishment for it. Joseph turns away from them and weeps. What an emotionally powerful moment this had to be for him. He had to be reliving their treachery and all the misery they had caused in his life. Joseph decided not to reveal himself at this point. He probably wants to humble them even more. They hadn't been humbled enough. But one thing Joseph does not do: have them executed on the spot. He could have gone easier on them, but if Joseph wasn't Joseph, it would have been a lot worse for the 10. Joseph gives them the grain they came for and secretly restores their purchase price. So he graciously gives them the grain for nothing. He puts their money in the sacks of food. Joseph was blessing them, but when they discovered the money, they were filled with fear. And isn't that how we often are? God is blessing us, and we are filled with worry and fear. Now the brothers return home, leaving their brother Simeon as a hostage in Egypt, terrified because their money has been returned to them, and with the agonizing obligation of returning to Egypt with Benjamin. The plot thickens, as we shall see in our next video.